Hello everyone and welcome to Nara's Tarot. Thank you very much for being here. Today's reading, we're going to look at the major themes traversing through your life in the next 6 months. And this is inspired by Pluto's retrograde from May through to October. And I'll have the exact dates down below for you. So we're going to channel what Pluto in retrograde is going to bring for you. And we have 3 piles for you today. This is pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. And we're going to use tarot cards and oracle messages to look at a bunch of different things going through your life. So sit tight, it's going to be a longer reading today, but feel free to pause the video here if you'd like to take some time to connect with the cards and crystals, and otherwise I will see you at your reading. Hello pile 1 and welcome to your reading about your next 6 months as inspired by Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. So we're going to look at the major themes happening through tarot first, and then we'll grab a bunch of oracle cards next. So let's reveal. The very first card we have is the Hierophant in reverse. We have the 7 of Portals, which is the 7 of Cups. We've got the Ace of Light Codes, which is the Ace of Wands. And finally, we have here the Sage of Light Codes, which is the King of Wands. Alright, pile 1, in the next 6 months, one of the major themes is you charting out your own path away from what has been traditionally expected of you, and you really going quite full speed ahead to make that path of yours happen. The Hierophant card here, it actually has this keyword lineage on it as well. And it reminds me of one's relationship with our family, with, the belief systems that we grew up with the values that we have, just inherited and we've taken it for granted. But you came to a point in your life where you started to examine those values, examine those beliefs, and you might feel like, hey, I don't know if I believe in that. Like maybe there are people in your family who have certain beliefs about what life should be. They think that maybe it's about work, or they have certain beliefs about family and relationships. Maybe they believe in the fact that, a very common one is that, money is evil, or that family should stick together no matter what, that they may have some of these beliefs that they carry. And for you inherited them, but now you're kind of like disowning them, disowning the beliefs, and finding your own way of doing things. I'm not really putting it across in the best way possible, but this shift in your belief system is actually a lot bigger than how I can describe. It's really causing a massive change in how you want to approach your life and the intentions that you want to set moving forward. So as you work through and examine those belief systems, and my third eye is acting up as I'm talking about this, but as you work through and talk about these and go through these belief systems, the 7 of Portals with the Labyrinth word over here is some confusion coming up, which is very normal because you are questioning things that have always been true for you, except they're no longer true anymore. So it's normal that we experience this confusion as we go into the next 6 months. And Pluto retrograding in Aquarius is also helping you to challenge and look past the surface, look past the assumptions, and to really journey into a deeper inner truth. Okay? And the key here that Pluto in retrograde is also showing us is the Ace of Wands to the King of Wands kind of energy here, right? The Ace is the first card in the suit of Wands, and then we finish it off with the King of Wands. So you essentially have the entire journey of the Wands cards over here in your spread. And what that means is that you may find it easier to understand who you are and what you really believe in when you start to take action. Because we can think about it, we can dream into it, we can meditate on it, but nothing really beats taking the action and giving your beliefs a run. Like if you really believe that this is your passion, that this is what you want to do in life, you know, for instance, that this is the direction that you want to go, then there's the only way to know if it's really for you is to go try it, is to go do it. And I see you kind of like going full speed ahead with the ace to the king of wands here. I'm also hearing that there is achievement, right? Because we have this whole journey here. So you may be manifesting certain things in the next 6 months. You're going to find that, hey, I have my answers now because I tried it and I know something works, right? I tried it and I know that it is for me. So you're going to find those answers. You're going to make sense of it all. Or at the very least, it's going to start to make sense and it's not going to be so confusing by the end of the 6 months. And you'll walk away with a lot more clarity about who you really are as an individual, away from the inherited narratives and beliefs that you had carried. Okay, so let us grab our oracle cards next to see what else the next 6 months are bringing you. All right. We have divine timing, abundance, and slow but steady. Underneath the deck, we have here past, present, and future. So there's this whole message about timing coming through here. You have 3 cards that allude to timing, divine timing, slow but steady, and past, present, future. Everything is happening all at once is the kind of feeling that I'm getting. And what I mean by that is that there's just so much activity going on that it feels like a lot is happening, but it's happening on the deeper layers of in our lives. You know, it's happening, the transformation is happening really deep, which is very Pluto coded. It triggers up those really in-depth, subconscious, unconscious levels of transformation within us. And what that is helping you to transform is your abundance, is your abundance mindset. It's how you make your way around the world. That is one of the major things happening here, because the transformation is really changing, is really helping you to change how you manifest in a way that is a lot more aligned to what you want to do. You know, I think that finding your passion and finding the things that really make you feel joyful in life with the Ace of Wands and the King of Wands, what really makes you fire up and really passionate, is also going to help you to figure out this abundance piece of, well, then how do I make that my source of income? How do I answer some of the more practical questions of life? Like, sure, I can have a passion in it, but then how am I going to translate it into my work? The next 6 months is going to show you exactly how to do that, okay? Now let's grab these oracle cards. Okay, we have here bittersweet and isolation. Underneath, 3 blue cards. So the blues are the what do you call it, throat chakra, that escaped my mind for a bit. So these cards are like chakra color cards. So the blues are about throat chakra. So I think what's also really important in the next 6 months as a theme is speaking up, like telling the universe what you want. Communication is really important. Communication with yourself, communication with the people around you. All forms of communication is important here. The main theme coming through with this throat chakra message here is that we're trying to go beyond just surface level connections or surface level discussions with people. And it's really not easy to do that. With isolation, bittersweet, and vanity, I see some of you really trying to go deep with someone, trying to explain to them what you're going through, what you're thinking. But there are challenges because maybe some people aren't ready to go there with you. They're not ready to get that deep into something. And for instance, I do see some of you like having a deeper spiritual inquiry into perhaps a certain esoteric knowledge that you've been studying, and something really like blows your mind and you want to engage in discussion with someone, but they're not interested. and in fact, they might also make you feel that your interest in that area isn't really important or valued. And it might make us feel like, maybe I shouldn't talk about my things. Maybe I shouldn't, tell people what I'm doing or all these beliefs that I'm learning about, which could be the experience in the next 6 months. And that is where there's this sense of like bittersweetness in terms of knowing that, hey, there are certain people that I know won't really stay in my life as I continue on this journey. Like, as I continue to find myself and grow myself and change the way that I would like to move about in the world, it becomes clearer to you that, yeah, some folks in my life may decide that this isn't for them. And it could create some endings. But I feel like you're just preempting the endings here. I don't know if by the end of the 6 months that these relationships will come to an end. But I think you're starting to see that, yeah, with my transformation, not everybody will be there with me on my journey. Okay, let's get you these other oracle cards to see what else comes through. Ooh, hang on. I noticed these cards were already up, but I will consider them yours. We have called Soul Gifts and Training. It's time to step up. And Breath of the Cosmos, My Will to Thy Will, Micromanaging the Universe. Okay, I actually don't know if these are yours, so I will shuffle again because it seemed like they were already like turned up. So let's try again. Okay. We have here Earth School, Life Lessons, Soul Growth, Study and Higher Learning, which is kind of similar to that previous card, wasn't it? We have Forge, Don't Follow. Holy shit, that's the Hierophant card there. Pave a new path, be the leader you wish you had. So you're definitely forging a new path. It's very clear that you are diverting from expectations and what you were taught a lot growing up. We then have Cracked Open, Rock Bottom, Surrender to the Alchemy of Life. And Activated Earth, Power Places, Ley Lines, Trust Where You're Led. Okay. This Power Places card really makes me feel like it's connected to the abundance piece over here. In the next 6 months, I would not be surprised if some of you have travel opportunities where you go to some place that really invigorates you, and this travel may be associated with some kind of like epiphany or an awakening within you in terms of looking at the world in a different way. But the common thread across all of these messages here is that idea of transformation, you forging out your path and you learning something by going through your own growth path, your own soul's growth in your own way. And there's just so much strength and so much courage to have to go through this. And you're going to discover so many new things by the end of the 6 months. Underneath the deck, we have Star Brothers, Horus energy, protection, loyalty, safety, trust. So even if you find that some relationships break down in the next 6 months, you will find new ones. You will find others who share your vision, people who can see what you value, and you'll find your new tribe basically. So don't worry too much about that. It's gonna be okay, all right? Let's see what else Spirit wants you to know about your next 6 months. Whoa! Hang on, one card just dropped. Let me pick it up. Okay, we have here, and it kind of bent a little bit, but we have Water Dog, Play with the Waves. Cute. And Fire Snake, Living from the Heart. Beautiful. And underneath the deck, we have Water Pig, Being in the Flow. I like that because the Water Dog and the Water Pig, they both talk about this idea of like being easygoing about where the world takes you. I mean, this is very much that trust where you're led message as well. There's an easygoing energy to playing, to flowing, right? So you don't have to know where you're going. You don't have to have it all figured out. all that Spirit is asking of you is to follow the waves, follow the flow, go with that path that you've chosen, because it's going to reveal to you what it's meant to show you. Okay, so follow the waves, follow your heart, live from that place of genuine love and passion, as opposed to feeling that you have to follow the same script or follow the same narrative. Okay, let's get you these Isis Oracle cards, see what else you are creating in the next 6 months. Okay, we have Pillar of Light, Descent of the Star of Isis, and also Serpent of Fire. Ooh, another like fire snake message here with the fire snake. Okay, fire snake and Serpent of Fire, which is like the same thing, or almost. Anyway, Serpent of Fire, Priestess of the Serpent Sisterhood. So I'm gonna have to read from the guidebook for this one, so give me 1 second here. So there's quite a long passage, but I won't read everything. I'll just read this part over here. But this card says that beings of light and divinity are calling you now. They wish to connect with you more strongly, and you are being guided to strengthen your energy field to allow more of the divine light that seeks you to flow through your body safely and into expression. It's definitely a very spiritual season of your life in the next 6 months. Like, you are definitely like learning and going through some major spiritual transformations. All right, let's look at Serpent of Fire as well. And we have it here. Isis, Priestess of the Serpent Sisterhood and Queen of the Serpent Fire, guides you through transformation now as your energy field grows stronger and old energies are burned away in the process of your growth. Trust that you are growing and are more capable than you have been previously. Do not assess your current ability based on past standards, as they no longer apply to you. Ooh, that's that Hierophant message again. You are stronger and more powerful now than you have ever been before. You need to learn afresh what you are capable of, and Isis helps you now. That is extremely powerful message for you there. Wow. Okay, we are gonna grab some final abundance oracle cards to see what else, what final messages, final abundance affirmations Spirit is leaving you with in the next 6 months, okay? Okay, and we have here intuition. Each person's road to the inner Lord is extraordinary and personal. How liberating to listen inside and sense moment to moment what's needed. Beautiful. We then have sanctity. Through offering, even the most mundane problem can become a sacrament. And finally, freedom. I no longer want this fiery ring of resentment to block the good. Release me from its bonds. Okay, so freedom is coming your way as well. Underneath the deck, we have change. If it's not clear what your 6 months is gonna be, this card is another reminder. When the ego finally sees the utter madness of trying to control everything, you come to a sacred crossroads in your own evolution. All right, so pile number 1, this is what I see for you. Thank you very much for tuning in. I wish you all the very best in the next 6 months, and I look forward to reading for you in the future one. Bye now. Hello, pile 2, and welcome to your reading about your next 6 months as inspired by Pluto's retrograde in Aquarius. So we're going to start off with tarot cards, then we'll look at a bunch of oracle cards to see the major themes that you will be experiencing, all right? So starting off, we have manipulation. This is actually the Magician card, and it's in reverse. This is my spooky deck. And we have number 5, knowledge, which is the Hierophant, also in reverse. And we have the Knight of Torches, which is the Knight of Wands. So pile 2, I would not be surprised if you were also drawn to pile number 1, because there's a very similar message coming through here, where you're questioning your beliefs and you're questioning what you were taught about the world. You know, you might have a certain worldview, you might have some very foundational beliefs about yourself, about the world, and in the next 6 months, you know, it's starting to come a little bit, you're starting to question it more, you know, as to whether or not these beliefs are even useful, or are they a little bit more actually damaging in your approach to life, meaning that they don't really help you to become a better person. They don't really help you to manifest. It's not really allowing you to become who you're meant to be. In fact, these beliefs are holding you back from actualizing your life's purpose. So with the Knight of Torches over there, I see someone just doing a much deeper self-inquiry to figure out and find out what really is going on there. Why do I have these limiting beliefs? Why do I carry all of this guilt and all of this weight inside of me? Where perhaps have I been manipulated by other people into thinking certain things in life? And manipulation is a really big word, so it may or may not apply to all of you, but essentially somebody has told you a story about life that is only half true or not even true at all. And it may not even be out of like ill intent, right? Like sometimes our parents tell us that, oh, you know, the world is a very dangerous place, and we might come to the conclusion that there are no safe places on earth. And we come to the conclusion that we have to always be in a state of fear because the world is a dangerous place. Maybe our parents also tell us that money is the root of all evil, right? That's a very common belief. Or that you should always be careful of men because men are cheaters or liars, you know, like sometimes we might encounter people who say that. And our response to those statements might have caused us to take a more extreme stance in life. And in the next 6 months, we're just wondering like, hey, you know, does that serve me or not? Like, how does holding on to those beliefs in life help me? I'm also seeing for some of you that you believe certain things about yourself. Like you believe that either you're not good enough, or that you'll never be successful in that way, or you'll never make, you know, this kind of income, or you'll never be able to fall in love by a certain age or something like that. And the Knight of Torches is shining a light into our soul to invite us to ask if those beliefs are even true. You know, how do you know it's true? And does it even serve you to continue believing those things? Because you're so used to saying those things to yourself that you might believe that you'll never make it, you'll never get the income you want, you'll never get the friends you want, you'll never get the lover you want, and you believe them to be so true. But how do you really know that that's the case? You don't. You know, you really don't. So why do we believe in those things? So that's the major theme coming up. It's a lot of questioning, it's a lot of reorganizing our minds to something that actually serves our highest good. Okay, so let's grab you these oracle cards. Ooh, next to see what else comes through. That was fast. We have omens and honoring your energy. Underneath that, we've got feminine energy. Okay. So there might be a lot of signs and synchronicities happening in the next 6 months to show you what is no longer working out in your life, or to point you in a certain direction. So if you see repeated numbers, if you notice certain patterns in your life, if you hear, you know, messages of the same thing over and over again, that's a very clear sign that that's what spirit is pointing you to. That's what your higher self is pointing you to. The second message here is that we are being called to honor our energy, meaning that there are some belief systems that are some way of living in your life right now that is actually draining you. And in the next 6 months, we are learning how to cut the weeds off and to actually honor the things that we really want to grow and allow life to flourish in our lives. Because I think for far too long, you haven't really allowed life to flourish in your life. You haven't really allowed new things, new beginnings to come into your life. There's always been patterns and repeated cycles, and I think you're ready for different things now. And that's what you're calling in with the Pluto in retrograde season. Okay. Our next cards are completion, absolutely, and mysticism. Yeah, this is a journey. It's a very spiritual journey that you guys are on, and that's why this message is very, very similar to Pile 1. Pile 1 also has a very spiritual. There was also a message about being on a spiritual journey, which isn't too far off from what Pluto in Aquarius is all about, right? So you're definitely completing some cycles, cutting off those weeds, and engaging in some kind of a more spiritual journey to understand and uncover something that is like a mystery. You know, what is this mystery to life? What does it mean to manifest? What does it mean to live your life's purpose? It all feels too mystical right now, but that is where you're going to get those answers. Faith underneath the deck. Yup. I'm laughing because this lines up so beautifully because this is a journey of faith. You know, when we go through the journey of mysticism, we don't know what we will find, but therefore then it ends. So therefore it requires us to have faith in the journey that we will find what we're looking for. And eventually there's something about this that you kind of like surrender, you know, in that it's not so much about like wanting to find something specifically, but really just about wanting to come closer to your inner authenticity, you know, to just start living a life that you feel aligned to, rather than doing the same things every single day but then not really feeling anything about it, or perhaps not even that, but not even feeling good about what you spend your time on. And so there's a lot of surrendering, to just trust the process and to just go with the flow of where life is taking you in the next 6 months. Okay, let's take a look at these cards now. Okay, there is a whole chunk, so I'm not going to put everything out, but I'll read them to you. We have karmic relationships, Orion energy, polarity, soul growth and conflict. We have called, soul gifts and training, it's time to step up. You know, actually, I think I have space for all of them. Let me just put them out. The great severing, Mars energy, anger, conflict, softening to love. And whale and orca elders, share your song, frequency of sound, diving deep. Okay, so again, you're being called to step up. And in stepping up, it requires us to also let go of everything that's holding us back from stepping up. And again, this great severing is that whole idea of like cutting out the weeds, letting go of things that are really not meant for you. And it's about also setting boundaries with this Mars energy and anger card. This is saying very firmly that, hey, I don't want to believe in that anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want my life to be about that anymore. You know, I'm so sick and tired of living this way. I'm so sick and tired of going through the same routines that make no sense to me. I'm done. Okay, so there's a lot of deep inquiry and all of this very watery karmic relationships. I mean, these two cards have a very watery energy to me, and that's all about going deeper into the soul's questions. You know, the waters bring about mysteries, brings about depth. So we're going in very deep to understand something about ourselves. I don't know if you even know what you're trying to understand. You know, I'm also hearing that for some of you, you're overcoming some very major patterns in your life. It could be addiction, it could be some kind of constant stress that you keep encountering. Maybe, you know, when it comes to cash flow, there are some challenges financially that you want to overcome once and for all. Maybe when it comes to relationships, you don't want to get into the same arguments with someone over and over again. Whatever it is, there are these patterns that in the next 6 months, you are so committed to letting go of them. And you are also very supported in cutting away these cords that no longer serve you, especially if it's coming from like karmic relationships that have been draining your energy. Okay, underneath the deck, we have lifting the veil, questioning everything, yep, and anything unaligned must go. Need we say more? All right, let's look at what else is coming through for you. Okay, this is way too many cards, so I want to shuffle again because that felt a little bit iffy to me. Okay, now that felt right. We have here nature as your healer, wood sheep. Beautiful. So you might just feel like spending a little bit more time in nature in the next 6 months. It could help you to cleanse, it could help you to heal, it also helps you to get some clarity about your life by being in nature. We have earth dog, reconnect with ancestral love. That's really beautiful. So your ancestors are also coming in to support you in understanding your purpose and your path, and especially their ancestors who have done this before. They're here to guide you, okay? We have next the water sheep, wait and listen. And the metal rabbit, a state of graceful movement. Underneath the deck, we have here wood horse, live and love joyfully. Okay, so I feel like overall, it's going to be quite a peaceful 6 months. All of this message here is about maintaining a sense of inner peace whilst you hold yourself through those transformations, because the transformations are intense. Like you're definitely like completing major cycles, going through a spiritual journey and all that, and so it's a very intense time, but also there's something about it that's very peaceful. So you might stand at the juxtaposition of like major crazy changes, but then also feeling like you're at a lot of peace in life because you know this is where you're meant to be. So I think that's just Spirit's way of assuring you that everything's going to be okay. And if anything, you know, you are being supported in this whole journey, okay? Let's get you some messages from Isis to see what you might be creating in the next 6 months. This shuffling is really clumsy because these cards are far too big for my hands and I'm struggling a little bit. Okay, let's try it this way. Although it's like way too huge for me. All right, we have here the Mother of Life, nourishment of the Golden Grain Mother. I'm going to read from the guidebook for this. We have Divine Sisterhood, community of the spiritual sisters and brothers of the light. So you might be finding your soul tribe, you might be finding like-minded people to help you. Ooh, and that also reminds me of like the ancestors card. So you're like very supported, you know, like there's so much love pouring into your life and to support you in this journey of transformation. We then have Spirit of Isis, triumph of the goddess. Okay, so let us look at the guidebook for this. So the Mother of Life says that we can sometimes fall into existing and doing rather than truly living. We only know that this has happened when suddenly our life seems dry, depleted, filled with tasks, or it feels like we are stuck in a rut or habit that may have been comfortable but is becoming stifling and suppressing. That is literally everything we've been talking about. Isis, the Mother of Lives, holds the ability to restore even the most numb, resistant, and difficult circumstances and bring people back into life. She calls to you now, seeking to bestow gifts of life upon you. Be bold and brave, open your arms and receive. Beautiful. And let's look at Divine Sisterhood. And Divine Sisterhood says, in community that is based in equality, respect, healthy boundaries, and personal freedom, with a mutual desire for spiritual growth and honoring of innate wisdom, great miracles occur. You are part of this community of light. At one time it existed only in the spiritual worlds, yet now it is being born on earth. It is part of your destiny to help create and nurture a conscious community that empowers all of its members and is based in truth. All right, so you might feel very inspired or very called to maybe engage or start to talk to people about certain spiritual beliefs, certain spiritual practices. You're expanding your circles, especially when it comes to like-minded souls. All right, and the Spirit of Isis says, Beloved, initiate. There are times to surrender and let go, but there are never times to give up. Persist with your bold faith and inspired action until the impossible happens. Isis has the spirit of triumph and will never fail in her quest, no matter how bold or impossible it seems. Believe. Wow. Okay, so let us get you some final messages. Oh, hang on. I didn't show you what was underneath the deck. But we have here the Temple of Black Obsidian, the Dark Healing Chamber. So this again is pretty powerful message here. I'm not going to read the guidebook for this one, but actually, you know what? I will. Let's just do it. Okay, the Temple of Black Obsidian says, Beloved, initiate. The most challenging task is not to confront an external enemy, but to take courage in both hands and journey within, to meet our own dark self and begin the healing task of bringing love, acceptance, and light to it. That is the sacred purpose of any enemy, within or without, to bring us more deeply into our own being as we seek to find and heal the darkness within. Oh, that is powerful, and that's very, very Pluto coded again, you know, healing the shadows, healing the darker parts of ourselves, and, you know, confronting the quote-unquote enemy. Okay, so let us get you some final Divine Abundance oracles to see what affirmation Spirit wants to leave you with. This is again a huge... Alright, so let's look at our Divine Abundance oracles to see what else Spirit wants to leave you with. And we have here love. Divine Source is the idea that no person, place, or thing is your salvation, only love itself. We have loss. Sometimes you learn true offering through loss. You make a passionate invitation for love to take over and bring her own plan instead of the ego's. We have Divine Source. Help me know that all of my deepest needs will be met. Let me trust that you have a plan and the right actions will come. You are my source for all. And finally, we have letting go. Everything is indeed out of control and God will hold it all. I can safely let go. And underneath the deck, we have Divine Flow. Eventually, one sublime desire takes precedence over all others to follow the Tao, the divine flow at all costs. Okay, so pile number 2, this is what I see for your reading. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate for being here, and I wish you all the very best in the next 6 months, and I look forward to reading for you in future as well. Bye now. Hello pile 3, welcome to your reading about the major themes in your life for the next 6 months. So we're going to start off with tarot, and then we're going to grab a bunch of oracle cards to look at the messages coming through for you, all right? So starting off, we have the 4 of Cups. We have the 2 of Pentacles in reverse. And the 10 of Wands. So there's quite an interesting relationship between the cards here, because when we look at the 4 of Cups, this is somebody who is looking at their 3 cups they have, but they aren't noticing that a 4th cup is coming into their lives. And that's from the Rider-Waite-Smith imagery. So the 4 of Cups can talk about needing to pay attention, needing to be more aware of the new things coming into our life, or perhaps new information coming in, new beginnings happening in our lives. Versus the 10 of Wands, this person doesn't really have space for anything new. The 10 of Wands is very focused on carrying all 10 of their wands, which is all 10 of their intentions, their responsibility is a huge weight to carry all 10 wands to the finish line. So between the 4 of Cups and the 10 of Wands, it's not really like this. These 2 energies coming up in the same reading is it's a bit odd. You know, it's a bit odd here. And then we have the 2 of Pentacles in the middle here, kind of like saying that like you're gonna have to like go between these 2 states. You're gonna have to go between having to carry this huge responsibility on your shoulder whilst keeping your eye open for new things. And it's a really tall order to have to ask of anyone, because the 10 of Wands is that heavy. It is that much responsibility that you're carrying. I don't know if you have, or if you feel like you have any additional bandwidth to be able to even expect new things, or to have a hopeful sense of life for the future, you know, like, but that is what the next 6 months is asking for you to do. It's to remain hopeful, remain positive, and remain open to new things happening in your life, even if you are carrying a huge burden and responsibility right now. You are being called to be ready for that new thing and for that change. With this Two of Pentacles here, the Two of Pentacles in reverse is somebody who kind of is dropping the balls and they're not really managing everything well. But in the context of this reading, I kind of feel Spirit saying that, like, hey, if you need to drop something in the next 6 months to go for an opportunity that comes in, do it. Because that is just how significant that opportunity is for you. Okay, so I know you're responsible, I know you have things you want to do, but if there's just something that falls into your lap in the next 6 months, it's time to go. It's time to go for it, okay? Let's find out what else Spirit wants you to know. We have death, which is very interesting because all three of the piles today have had some connection with death and with transformations, major endings, which again is a very, very, very Pluto coded as we're doing this reading. And then we have self-love. Okay. Underneath the deck, we've got movement into balance. So the change that's also happening in your life is inviting for more self-love and more opportunity for that, I should say. I think you have had to carry so much weight that there really wasn't space to do anything to take care of yourself, to indulge in a little bit of self-love, self-care. But those opportunities are definitely opening up, and maybe grabbing hold to that opportunity is an act of self-love. Grabbing hold to that new thing coming in with the Four of Cups there is an act of self-love for yourself. You might be disappointing some people, but you know that that's meant for you and you know that you want that, so you're going for it, okay? The next message is victim. Acceptance and balance. Oh, hang on, we had that card, movement into balance, and balance again is showing up. Okay, and then impasse. Okay, so in the next 6 months, you might also experience some kind of blockages in your life, but Spirit wants you to know that these things are happening because it's God's way of protecting you. This is like God's rejection is protection vibes. Your guides are redirecting you to a different path in life. And the only thing I'm wondering now is, why does it feel a little bit difficult for you to accept that there can be a new thing in your life? Like, sometimes when we encounter impasses, like sometimes when we encounter redirections, I'm going to stop trying to pronounce that word, but like, it's not very easy to accept that a redirection has happened, because when it happens, it could feel very out of the blue, very unpleasant. It could feel like, you know, the rug was pulled from underneath our feet, right? But that's only because we don't know the full picture yet. And so we may feel that this redirection is an inconvenience. So there's something about you guys here, which I just wonder, like, why is it hard to accept that change is happening in your life? Why is it so inconvenient? Like, is this a bad time for change? Is that what it is? Because even with victim and acceptance over here, it's like, you know you're not in a great place with this victim card. Like, you know that right now with the 10 of Wands energy, it's a lot to carry. But there's something about like this advice coming through where it feels like you're not ready to change, even if you know that you need to change. You know, so we will unfold a little bit more with our oracle messages, but what's really coming through is helping you to balance things out in your life. It's helping you to not carry so much weight all the time and enjoy a little bit more. You know, like maybe some things are changing in your life so that you actually have more time or more resources to enjoy life, or to go a bit slower at the very least, where now you might be going in like 1,000 miles per hour or like some crazy speed, but balance is coming in to give you back a bit more time in the mornings, time to drink your coffee, time to like relax, you know, maybe now you don't have that. So that's certainly coming in, but let's keep looking with our oracle cards and see what else comes through. Okay, we have here, we the Hathors, deep love, mother's milk, birth as a portal. So we have death and birth, which is amazing. And then we have forge, don't follow, pave a new path, be the leader you wish you had. Underneath the deck, we've got the cosmic heart, devotion, potency, make your life a moving prayer. The first thing I'm feeling is that some of you are very reluctant to be leaders with the forge, don't follow card. You are very reluctant to do anything that is gonna put you in a spotlight, that is going to make you stand out. And yet, in the next 6 months, I think that could be what's happening. Some things are putting you in a spotlight, is putting you in a position of leadership where you have to call the shots now. You know, you can't just follow along and not really think too much about your life. Like you need to start, like, you're kind of like being pushed into like, hey, you got to call the shots, you got to make your moves now because it's time, that kind of feeling. I think one reason why you might also be very resistant to this change is because you're birthing a new version of yourself, and that requires a lot of courage to step into that new calling. Because, for instance, if you've always, to give an example of being a leader, right? Like if you've always been an employee and you've always worked for somebody else, in the next 6 months, it might really happen that you end up being your own boss and you end up being the leader of your own company, basically. And it has come quite unexpectedly, because even though that might have been what you wanted, even though you might have been planning for a side hustle to become more of your main income stream, you didn't really think that was like, I don't think you guys fully like accepted the thought that like, oh my god, I'm gonna be like my own boss, I'm gonna call the shots, I'm gonna have to like make some big boy, big girl decisions in my life. And it comes as kind of a shock, which is a bit funny because on the one hand, with the 10 of Wands here, this isn't your first day doing this thing. Like, you've been planning for it, you've been executing on it. But then when it comes, it still is kind of a shock because you didn't expect yourself to have to do this role, I should say. So in the next 6 months, Pluto in retrograde season is just gonna push you into that direction where you cannot avoid inevitable anymore. You cannot avoid the fact that this is now your path and you have paved it, and now it's time to walk it. I don't think there are any more excuses, and there can be no more BS about it. So it's like spirit's like, yep, you're ready, go for it, you know, and you are ready. The point is you are. I think it's just that there's a part of you that feels too small to walk in those shoes, but the fact is you are ready, okay? I just dropped my cards, so let me pick them up. Okay, we have the next cards. Earth Red, change your mindset. What have we been talking about this whole reading? This whole reading has been about inviting you to change your mindset, to have a different belief for yourself that you actually can do it, and that you're actually more of a leader than you think you are, and that you're capable of picking up this new venture that you're on, okay? The next card is Metal Bird, treat yourself like royalty. So cute. So that's that balance energy coming here. You know, you have been working so hard, and now there's time to like treat yourself a little bit. So you got to give yourself some credit, you know, where credit is due, and like if it's time for some self-love, go for it, okay? And the last card is Firebird, seek and you shall find. So what are you looking for, my friends? What are you looking for? And I think it's so funny because you have been looking for this thing in your life, you've been looking for this outcome, but the moment you find it, you're like, holy shit, that's way too hot. You know, it's like, oh my god, I did not expect that I would actually find the diamond. Because you're looking for treasure, and the treasure has always been somewhere else, but now that the treasure is actually in your life, it's a bit of a shocker that it's here. So it's just taking us some time to like accept the new reality sitting in. Okay, underneath the deck we have fire snake living from the heart. All right, let's look at some messages from the Mother Isis now and see what she wants to tell you. Whoa. Okay, I think that card wants to come out. But we have here Divine Sisterhood, community of the sisters, of the spiritual sisters and brothers of the light. And underneath the deck we have Divine Sun Child, blessings of the Sun Falcon. Okay, let's have a look at the guidebook here to see what this is about. Divine Sisterhood, in community that is based in equality, respect, healthy boundaries and personal freedom, with a mutual desire for spiritual growth and honoring of innate wisdom, great miracles occur. You are part of this community of light. At one time it existed only in the spiritual worlds, yet it is now being born on earth. It is part of your destiny to help create and nurture a conscious community that empowers all of its members and is based in truth. So Aquarius is very like community, is very humanitarian coded as well. So I think in the next 6 months, this is also a time for you to connect with like-minded people, and they may be able to help you to understand all of the things that you're going through and help you to be more, or at least feel more equipped to handle the new things that are going on in your life. Okay, the next card is Divine Sun Child, blessings of the Sun Falcon, the Divine Sun Child Horus, son of Isis and Osiris, flow to you now, beloved initiate. It is time to allow your life to flourish without limits, to let your light burn bright and without veil, just like the midsummer sun burning without contest in the Egyptian desert. Blessings of the Sun Falcon herald the time when your divine legacy is being born. It is time to burn bright. You know, you are definitely stepping into some spotlight, my friends. Like, you are definitely getting some kind of attention. It's very inevitable. Like, it's giving me like, you know, spirit just like pushing you there, and you're like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Like, okay, now I'm in the spotlight. Now I gotta do it. Now I gotta like entertain the people. But you're not entertaining them, of course. You're just showing them who you are and like burning bright. So embrace that. Now's your chance to shine, and now's your chance to take the spotlight. Okay, let's get you some final divine abundance messages here. And we have love. Divine source is the idea that no person, place or thing is your salvation, only love itself. Beautiful. And underneath the deck we have true offering. True offering takes what can be an unbearable cross and returns it to love. Okay, so if you ever find that it has been challenging, or that it's really difficult to do what is now required of you, let's say it's been extremely stressful to take on this leadership role, or you feel very ill-equipped to be, you know, a boss, or to be in the spotlight, or to do that thing, remember that you can always give it back to divine source. You can give it back to love, and you can find ways to love yourself in the process as well. You don't have to do it by yourself. You can always offer up your challenges and your issues and any fears you have back to love, back to source, back to the God, universe, however you want to call it, and find spiritual guidance and support in that sense. Okay, so pile number 3, this is what I see for you. Thank you very much for being here. I wish you all the very best in the next 6 months. I am praying for your success and your wealth, your abundance, and I look forward to reading for you in future. Okay, bye now.